someone pointed out that this might be the kind of weapon typical of the Pietro Monte's treatise, the Collectanea. Welcome back with the new video from the Spadone project. Here is Nick and Julian with a new swords for you to analyze. We are in a collection in Zurich, and this is an interesting specimen. We're analyzing something different from the other videos, so not an Italian production. This is a blade and in general a sword, probably made in Switzerland.
Or Germany.
Yeah, or even Germany. So we have a mark. It's not really readable, but
it looks a bit like Passau Wolf.
Yeah, might be Passau Wolf. Here is missing the brass inlay that usually can be found in other weapons. And this is a weapon dated probably half of the 15th century, but more towards last quarter. We know from the Berner Chronic, that is one of the manuscript chronicles of the city of Bern, that we have in that manuscript depictions of swords of this kind or very similar. So we're not talking about great sword in the strict term, but it's rather something transitional. So according to length and weight, we can find a sweet spot. It's not really a long sword, it's not really a great sword, but here the length is more than 1 meter and 40 centimeters. It's more like
147.
47, okay. We have already measured swords of this kind before, so we know that there's a spectrum. The overall style and proportion seems to be the same, but we have longer specimens and shorter ones. I would say this is not the longer one, and we already know there's another collection with a sword of this kind that reaches 1 meter and 60, so it's towards the longer side of the spectrum. It's pretty simple, straight crossguard, no rings, no decoration. It's really a functional weapon, a functional tool. We have a blade with a cross section that is hexagonal, at least on the forte and towards the middle of the blade. You can maybe even show here that we have these two lines made by the light reflecting that show the shape of the blade. And going toward the tip, we are losing the hexagonal shape and is more lenticular, yes, with a really pointy tip. That is interesting details, because the more you go to the 16th century, the more the tip of greatsword is less important if compared to the edge for cutting. In this case, we have a weapon that wants to do both, and the tip is enough menacing to be used even for the weight of the weapon for good thrusting actions. Another interesting characteristic is the length of the handle and the size of the pommel. Usually on greatsword we find rather big pommels. In this case is not like that. Is pretty small, is thin, is not really wide, and also of course here we are missing the handle, but we know from other specimens and for the drawings that is the typical German handle. Some occasion is the kind of wasted one with the larger part in the middle. In another collection of Zurich, in Landesmuseum, we have a specimen with a rope around the handle, and probably it had a leather covering that now, if I remember correctly, is not completely on place, is quite old and weathered. What we can say, probably was recovered from some, I don't want to say battlefield, but
It looks like from deterioration and stuff
yes,
that there could have been something like blood on it compared to the rest.
yeah, so we discussed it before taking the video, that there's a difference between this side of the blade if compared to the part of the forte. So
And to the tang.
yes, something happened. We do not know what. We had the hypothesis of maybe blood rusting more the blade because of oxidation, but we cannot exclude even maybe a piece of land with humidity and more water to one side, and so maybe the deterioration was different according to how the weapon was placed on the ground. And someone pointed out that this might be the kind of weapon typical of the Pietro Monte's treatise, the Collectanea. Is not strictly a fencing treatise, is a mix. So we have information about fencing with 200 swords and other weapon. You have information about how to ride horses, and plethora of other information useful for a general or a person that is involved in the military operations. And actually, the period, the dating we would assume for a sword like this could match the period of Pietro Monte. The treatise was printed at the beginning of the 16th century. We know from research of Forgeng, right now I don't remember the complete name, but is a researcher in HEMA. He translated Pietro Monte Collectanea from Latin into English, and according to his research, the first draft of the manuscript could be dated to the 90s of the 15th century, so would fit if we consider the career of a person of the time in the military, maybe at some point in life deciding to write the book that is a compendium of his knowledge, and is debatable if he was Italian or Spanish. But in either case, we know that the manuscript has a lot about Spanish fencing stuff, a lot of names taken from the Spanish language. So who knows? Maybe there is even something Spanish along the line, but the weapon should be Swiss.
Yeah.
That's what we know mostly for sure. And I think that's it for this. So if you want to know more information, if you want us to present you other swords, other content related to antique weapons, you can follow the channel. You can follow and subscribe to our Patreon. Is just a little contribution every month. You can get updates about the research and insight about what we're doing, and you will help us travel more and get to new museums, measure stuff, collect information. And we're working on a book, so everything we find is aimed at publishing within some years this compendium of information. So any help is welcome, of course. And this is it. Thank you.